I'm so excited to interview my next guest. She's all the way from Mumbai. Her name is Rima Medhi, founder of Creativity Inc., which she'll talk to us about. Successful radio DJ for about 8 years, theater and voiceover artist. But the reason why I'm interviewing her is her expertise in working with children and teaching value in creating communication skills. She's also a YouTube trainer, which I'm sure a lot of us who do YouTube, videos could benefit from your expertise. So let's hear all about tips in how parents can help our children learn to speak with confidence.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Karen. I am so excited to be here. I know that, we've had some internet trouble and we've really powered through for this
We
interview.
powered through.
Yeah, to give you a power packed interaction between Karen and myself so that, this is totally worth your while. So I want to start with telling you guys about Creativity Inc., which is my baby, literally. So I started my company, Creativity Inc., 5 years ago with the vision of imparting value creating communication skills to children from the ages of 4 to 15. Okay, and then it grew to the extent that today I'm also working with people who are 25, young adults. Okay, and I'm also like a confidence coach and visibility strategist for entrepreneurs and senior professionals. So talking about children, I think the way Creativity Inc. operates is we have all our modules, which are really fun modules. Okay, we have public speaking, we have creative writing, we have YouTube hosting, we have stand-up comedy, we have radio show hosting for obvious reasons, and we also have TED talks. So we offer them all these modules, but behind all these modules, the intention is to equip them with value creating communication skills based on the four pillars that we have devised. And these four pillars are super important. The first one is empathy. Okay. The second one is authenticity. The third one is mutual respect. And the fourth one is inclusiveness. So we try and use these four pillars and help children communicate in a value creating manner, and the methodology or the channel that we use is all these fun modules that will interest children and also give them a new skill in terms of presentation and performance.
Wow. So what is one thing that surprised you when we were talking earlier about the case studies that you've done, over 5,000 kids, and you were sharing that the most shocking fact was.
So the most shocking fact was it didn't matter where the child came from, what kind of economic background, what kind of educational background, which country, what language, they all had the same receptivity, the same responsiveness, the same level of creative thinking, and the same level of thought process, which is amazing, which goes to show us that all over the world we have so many children, but each child is thinking in a very innovative, creative manner, true to himself or herself. And I think that is huge data, because we always feel that children who have a certain sort of schooling or children who come from a certain background are the only ones who can be achievers. But no, people, let's wake up to the fact that every child is a thinker, and a very, very evolved thinker if given the right sort of support and encouragement.
I love that, because I think a lot of us do feel that if you are unfortunate, if you don't have the right schooling, if you don't have the right parents who are educating you in public speaking, that you're a lost cause. But what you're saying is, given the right support, and I think you mentioned the number one thing that parents could do. Can you mention the importance of encouraging and praising? Because I think we might not be doing that as much as we should, because we're focusing on discipline, we're focusing on building that resilience. But you're saying that it doesn't have to come from all of the rigid discipline or the rules, or even making sure that they do, all of the academic work. You're saying that, can you share that about the encouragement?
Absolutely. So, like parents, they come from a place of worry and concern and care,
Yes.
and which times they try to impose certain thought processes or certain methods that the child should follow, and that's like discipline and study time and wake up time. Yes, discipline, when it becomes habitual, is a gift. Any discipline habit that I have, which has become a habit for me over the years, is a privilege. It's pure pleasure for me. waking up early, doing things on time, being organized, all of those. But I think primarily, if you kind of step away from the role of a parent for 1 minute and just cut cords with the fact that you're the parent of that child and look at that child or that teenager as a piece of as an amazingly talented piece of life. Okay, just look at that as a life that has been entrusted to you to nurture, to kind of encourage, to praise, to appreciate, to raise, and how that life is going to then shape the world. You'll realize that stepping away from the parental role at times is very beneficial, because when you look at your child as this amazing life, who's so talented, who's so filled with resources, and all you have to do is encourage them, praise them, egg them on with a lot of love and care and positivity. When you do that, the kind of results you will see will be amazing.
Wow. I wanted to also touch on, you were mentioning before how a lot of parents think their kids are lazy, think their kids are poor planners, think their kids just do not know how to organize. I recently been hired just to do that for a seventh grader. He's not
Oh
living up
my
to his
God.
potential. He is not planning. He is not organizing, and he's missing assignments, and he actually failed one of his subjects, but it's first quarter, but there's so much emphasis and stress and pressure. So I love the way that you mentioned there is no laziness when it comes to kids. Can you share about that?
There are no lazy kids, honestly. Like, no child wakes up in the morning and says, "Hey, I'm going to be lazy today." Yes, I might want to laze around because I'm tired, but I'm not inherently lazy. Nobody's inherently lazy. They could be disinterested. They could be upset about something. They could be wanting to escape that subject, but they're not lazy. So you have to sit down and delve deep into the mind of the child. And this can only be done with love. Otherwise, it's going to just be intrusive to the private space and thought process of that child. So, I think parents, sorry, but a little tough love for you guys here. Please stop treating your children like a project that you have to excel in. Okay? Your child has his or her own feelings, their own senses, their own perceptions. So I think it's very important to kind of assess, why is it that the child is not showing interest in a particular subject, or why is that the child is feeling lazy? Is it that the child feels lack of physical energy? So is that a nutrition problem? Is it that the child feels lack of love in the house? So is that a communication problem between you and the child? Is it that the child is sad about something that happened at school? So is the child feeling a little depressed? I'm not saying the child is under depression, but there are days when you feel depressed. So
Mm-hmm.
is it all of those things? Because all of those things can lead to this word called lazy, which I think is very accusatory and fairly hard. Because I
Mm-hmm.
mean, as a solo entrepreneur who runs like two businesses at times, my timings don't match up with society's timings. I sleep at 5 a.m. in the morning at times, and I'm up then later on by 10 or 11 a.m. So you can call me lazy. You can call me somebody who wakes up at 11 a.m. I'm not lazy. I've probably done way more work than you can do in 24 hours. It's just that I keep my timings. So similarly, let's say your child is super productive in the evenings and maybe mornings. They just want their own space. That does not make them lazy. There's so much there. There's the biological rhythm of a human being. There's the emotional rhythm of a human being. There is so much out there. So rather than branding your child something because you told them to do something thrice and they didn't do it, try and delve deeper. And this comes from the place of empathy. The child is going to behave in the manner that's most authentic to him or her. If you
Mm-hmm.
allow that space, if you give that empathy, if you give that mutual respect, and if you include their behavior in your life rather than saying, "I go to work at 7 a.m., so you need to be up and running by 7 a.m."
And another thing I wanted you to share is, many parents feel you respect me, you're under my roof, you do as you're told because I'm the mom, I'm the dad. And I love your perspective on mutual respect. I think a lot of parents don't agree or don't understand. Can you explain this really important concept?
So I mean, I'm not trying to be anti-parents. I know parents are busy. They have a lot of work. They're working parents. They have corporate pressures. They have financial pressures, especially in the current scene scenario. So it's not like they're always wrong or coming from a wrong place. They're trying to
Mm-hmm.
save time. So
Mm-hmm,
if I tell my child to do something and the child does it immediately, it saves me time, it saves me
exactly.
energy, which is why I'm trying to program my child's behavior in this manner. But you have to understand this might work at times, and at times it will not work. At times it's probably required if your child is just being, a little lax and, non-serious about things. Maybe a little bit of tough love and saying, "I told you to do this now." Maybe
Mm-hmm,
that helps. That
mm-hmm,
helps them commit to the task at hand. But if you do this at all times, the child is going to start resisting you. So you need to, kind of talk to your child in a manner that shows them that I respect you. Okay. And because I'm giving you so much respect, you will anyways respect me automatically, because the more respect you give and shower on a person, you will always kind of receive that, back. Because it's like a mirror, if you bow to
mm-hmm.
the mirror, then the image in the mirror is going to bow back to you. There is no way out. It might take a little time in the case of the child, because it's not an instant mirror. Children have their own kind of trajectory, but give them time. So the more respect and inclusion you shower on your child, the more you're going to receive in return. And this is going to go a long way for you when the child becomes an adult. Because children grow up and they grow up really quickly and they
Mm-hmm.
become their own people. You don't want to have a fractured relationship with your child for the rest of your life, because you were very, very forceful at a time when they were vulnerable and they needed to be included and they needed to be respected.
So do you think that might be some of the cause for rebellion? When kids
So
start
I mean, if you have to,
rebelling?
yeah, because even if I have to ask you, Karen, if I kind of impose 50 rules on you, if you will probably listen to me for a week because you just want to keep the peace, but won't you kind of just finally say, "I've had enough"?
Yes. But it's
It's
almost
the
like
same.
teens don't have that luxury because they know that
Yeah,
they'll be in trouble. I have a lot of teenagers, and I say, well, "Can you talk to your mom?" "No, I'm just going to get in trouble." So they hide the F. I had this one boy hide his report card. I said, your mom's going to see it, but you know what? I can enjoy my life until she sees it." And so he decided to hide it. But that's when I realized, if we don't feel safe to share, so is that something that you find that a lot of kids will be more prone to
I
sharing?
totally. Yeah, yeah, because you need to give your children the space to express themselves wholly and authentically. So, yes, if the child has done badly at math or whatever, the child needs to be okay. They need to feel safe enough to come and say, "Mom, I really messed up and I'm really sorry. I'm going to try better." Or, I'm kind of stuck. I don't know how to do better. Please help me.
Mm-hmm,
In both
mm-hmm.
cases, there is a way forward which is progressive and constructive. But if the child is just going to feel fear because of, being grounded or getting into trouble, I think that's just a futile waste of time and energy. Because your child isn't going to improve like that. You're going to get upset. No one's going to be happy.
Wow. So, any tips on improving communication, public communication, as well as just speaking in general?
So I'll give it to you from two perspectives. Okay, from the child's perspective, please always offer your child a safe place to express themselves completely. I'm repeating this point. The second thing you can do for your child is let them have a voice. If they have an opinion which is different from yours or which doesn't align with your thought process, let them have it. They're their own person. They're going to grow up and be their own person. Yes, you can kind of, try and explain to them what the family values are, what the culture of the family is, but they're going to have their own voice and their own opinion, and that is very healthy. Do not expect your children to always align with you or always agree with you, because you're not the boss of them. You give birth to them, but you don't own them. They're their own people. Okay, so that is one thing. And for parents, I think if you can come from a place of empathy, authenticity, mutual respect, and inclusion, and try and include your child in family discussions, try and treat them like a contributing human being in the household, I think that will go a long way. Like I said, don't kind of speak at your children, don't order your children around. Speak with them, discuss with them, include them, praise them. Yes, if there's bad behavior, maybe you can sit them down and talk to them. And don't expect these methods of mine to work like magic the first day. So if you had one discussion that didn't go well with your child, don't give up on it. Keep
Mm-hmm.
having dialogue and discussion until you reach your child. Because a lot of parents feel, "I tried that, she doesn't listen to me, I'm just going to impose my rules." Parents are just trying to save time and energy. So maybe if you could slow down a little bit,
You're
at least when it comes,
right. You're right. It does take time,
yeah,
because I think
it's
that's
okay
what
for you
happens,
to
right? I'm sorry.
Yeah. We're all pressed for time. I mean, I know I run two businesses. I am pressed for time, and I'm always trying to save time. But when it comes to your child, your baby wasn't born in 9 days. Your baby was born in 9 months. Everything in nature takes time. So please give them that time. You can be very organized and time friendly in your corporate space, but please give your child time. To give them time to catch
Wow.
up to your thought process, to your change in behavior, because this could be a drastic change that you're bringing into the household. Give them time.
Especially during those turbulent teen years, I think that's the number one conflict because, a lot of the kids say, you just don't understand. And so the parents think, well, no, you have to understand because, I mean, your thought process is wrong. So I love how you remind us that we don't own them, that we're not a boss. Because I think sometimes we forget and we just think, make my life easier. Just do this. And then we forget that that's not the goal because raising kids isn't about just, okay, I want you to do this, and I want you to get this grade. And I think a lot of us forget. So I love that reminder and that mutual respect. That's going to be a tough one for many of us because when you just went, oh, there you are.
Yeah,
I think the mutual respect is hard when you are currently being disrespected. Is there a
yeah,
mindset that we can keep? Because when those buttons are pushed, everything that I know just goes out the door because emotions start boiling. Any one thought that we can have to prevent those words that we instantaneously regret?
absolutely. Think about it like, this is like a patient climb up the hill. Okay. You're not going to reach the top of the mountain in 1 second, 1 minute, 5 minutes, one day. You're going to have to keep climbing. And on the way, you're going to have to keep building your stamina and refueling yourself with positivity. So let's say you were having this really sensitive discussion with somebody who came from a place of authority, say a government official or your boss. There's a lot of words that you want to kind of just lash out and use those words. Will you? You hold back because you know there's a lot at stake. You could get into legal trouble. You could lose your job. So you're able to kind of then, just stay and listen. You may not agree. You come back and probably, at home, you just sit and kind of, really get upset about it. But in front of that person, how you're able to really hold back, and just kind of, say, I will not say this. So imagine, and you don't have to imagine, your child is probably 100 or 1,000 times more precious than that legal relationship or that, professional relationship. So words that you say to your children at whatever age stay with them for the rest of their life. And you can agree with this, and so can I. What my mom said to me at 12, 13, 11, 10, 6, 7, it's all in my head. Or my
Yes.
dad, for that. Could be good things, could be bad things. So please understand that the child in front of you that you worked so, that you wanted so badly, and you gave birth to so lovingly, that little baby who's grown up a little bit now and is no longer a baby, is far more precious than any of those secular social relationships that you have. Okay. And it's very important at the end of the day to raise a happy child than raise an overachieving child, because happy people are productive and they make something beautiful out of their lives. The ones who are not happy are the ones who have destructive behavior patterns in their adult life as well. So want your
Wow.
child or
That
not?
is a parenting tip that I will, yeah, I think so many of us are focused on the end result, the high achiever, the goal oriented individual, and we don't realize. And I think studies have shown now. I mean, my daughter's therapist did say that, happy people will become, like you said, productive, successful, right, contributing people. But if you are just focused on that end goal, then you feel like a failure sometimes, and then you just that's your whole life purpose is just to achieve, and then the happiness is non-existent.
Exactly. So I mean, it's like the parent's failure or the parent's success does not depend on the child. The child is the
Yes.
main his or her own life. They just need to be. You just need to empower them to be confident, happy, secure. Children, and then they will make something out of their lives.
Well, and that's where I think you touched a very I think it's hard for parents not to attach their child's achievement to define whether they're successful as a parent. And when my daughter went through those years where anxiety caused her to fail, as an educator, I really believe that not only did I fail as a mother, but since I'm an educator, how could I not motivate my child to do what she was supposed to do? And you just, you know, said it right there, that we cannot define our child's either choices, right? Choices, behavior, no matter what they do, that it is
The
not
future.
indicative of our.
You can kind of try and put them in one direction and say, how about you like to do this with your life? But ultimately, what lies in store for them, nobody can predict. But if
Yes.
you equip with a positive mindset, a strong mind, a happy space, a secure space, good self, a great level of self-esteem and confidence, they will be able to overcome what life throws their way. And that's the only thing you need to do.
Wow. You simplified parenting in like less than a minute.
Thank you. And me not being a parent, maybe it's easier for me to have that objective third person's point of view. You know, maybe because when you get too close to it, then that's when all the objectivity sort of kind of starts falling apart. So I think the fact that I'm not a parent and I can see so many like 5,000 children and their relationships with their parents, I see that so objectively, something that parents can't see because they're too close to it. It's not their fault. They're attached. They're attached. They're worried.
Yes.
They're anxious. So I mean, I'm not saying that parents are wrong. In fact, I feel my heart goes out to parents because it's a tough, tough, tough job that they have. But I can just offer like a very, very simple, objective perspective for each parent and child out there.
Well, thank you so much, because I think, Rima, a lot of times we just, how people say, well, if you're not a parent, you don't understand, but what you touched, I think it's because you've worked with thousands of kids and you've seen what works and what does not work. But I think we can all agree that when we destroy a child's self-esteem, it can be damaging for
You're
life,
just
and we don't, right?
human being. You're destroying the entire human being by destroying their self-esteem at a young age. You're destroying their future possibilities. Every time they want to get into a relationship or go for a job interview, they're going to second guess themselves. It's not going to help even if they got full marks in maths.
I love that, because that's the majority. That's like the message I think that I hear. You have to do, your job. I had one parent say, your job is to get straight A's. That's the only job you have. I was
I don't know what.
mortified. I was mortified. I said, I'm just out of curiosity. Were you a straight A student? She goes, oh no, I was a horrible student. I just got C's. But you know what? She needs to get straight A's.
That's
And
scary.
so she had like an 88, and it was a advanced placement class. So honors classes, higher, expectations and just the standards. And she said, doesn't matter, you need an A.
That is, I mean, I don't even have anything to say to those words because what is the child going through? I'm only worried about the child. It's a lot that the child goes through if this kind of behavior and thought process is imposed upon them. And we need to kind of wake up. And I'm telling you, I go back to the four pillars, but empathy, authenticity, mutual respect, inclusion. If you can operate with these four pillars in thought, in word, in action, you'll see your life changing.
I love that. I'm going to write down those four pillars. And I think that's a message that is so crucial for all parents, because I think we lose sight of our purpose. We think that our purpose is to create a child who will be a high achiever, who will be a planner, who will be successful, and we don't realize the damage that we're doing. And I think all of us, I'm guilty of it. We think, I'll do the motivating thing. And then, like my daughter just shared right before our interview, that she is 15 assignments behind. She's a freshman in college. And I took a deep
Mhm.
breath, because we're recording this for those of you watching this because of technical difficulties. And I thought, I said, you'll get through this. I said, it's so hard to feel that you're incompetent, that because she gives these negative, right? We give ourselves these negative self-criticisms. So I just said, you'll get through it. I don't, and then she went ahead and kept saying negative, negative, negative. And I said, you know what? I don't know what to say, but I just want you to know that it's going to be okay. I know it just feels so, so hard. And when you don't solve it for them, though, part of you feels like you failed. So I, ended up bringing her food. And I ended up, because my husband was going to help her. It was like formatting. Some of that was formatting. And I said, and then he's like, okay. And I said, because if we always figure it out, how is she going to figure it out? So I said, I know this seems so cruel, but, and I've been saying this for the past 4 years, right? She's 18. Everything's just, I know you're preparing me for real life. You're preparing me for becoming an adult. And I still find myself rushing in, but I think that's part of empathy, but part of fear of letting go and fear of trusting. So lately, I sound like a broken record, but it's truly trusting. You have to trust in your journey, and and I just ended by saying, the hardest times, like right now, because she's like, right now is the opportunities that build up, you grow to be so much stronger. I know it doesn't feel like it because when you're hyperventilating, you're crying. I said, I know it doesn't feel like it. And then you walk away and you're not sure if you said the right thing, but I think is it, as long as you're not critical, I guess, right? We're maneuvering this very difficult journey.
It is difficult. It's not the journey to becoming strong and accomplished is not easy. But because the outcome is so fantastic, like you get to be this strong, invincible person, that journey is worth taking, you know?
Was that a reminder then maybe for us to just know not to fix? I think a lot of parents just go in and fix it because, like you said, they don't have the time. They just want to like get that done. I have parents who actually do their kids' homework
To save time, I'm sure. And
to
save
save
time.
time, to save frustration. Maybe the teenager doesn't want to do the assignment, and I can tell whether the 15-year-old wrote it or the parent wrote it. So
Oh my God.
when I ask them, did your mom help you? Did she kind of write it for you? I mean, just out of curiosity, you're not in trouble, and you just
No,
think,
I think it's very important for parents to trust in children. And sometimes when things are not happening, you can support, but you cannot take over because then you're not
yes.
teaching resilience and independence, So,
And it's sometimes the F, okay, then. I had this one dad say, I want to see an occasional F to show them that they're resilient, that it doesn't mean the end of the
yeah,
world. Because for a lot of parents, that's when I get called the most. As a tutor, I mean, oh my gosh, grades came in and they got an F. But as we close, how do you think parents can change our mindset when we do see that F?
I think to understand that failure is a part of life. I don't know a single human being today, adult or young, who's never failed at anything. So it's
Yes,
okay to fail a while, okay? And if you can turn that failure into cause for your upcoming victory or your cause for your upcoming success, then that failure was well worth it. But let's say
yes,
if you kind of really well in one semester and you just stopped looking at that subject and you ended up failing the next time, then your success kind of became a cause for failure, right? So no matter what happens in
right,
life, use it as fuel to bring out something positive for the next time, because nothing is static, right? Life isn't static. That failure is not the end of life, nor is that the end of life. There's always going to be another challenge, another test. So like looking forward every moment, having that forward looking perspective, and always living life like from this moment on, what can I do better? So that will kind of
What a great way to end this interview. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your patience and your
thank
perseverance. It's been quite a journey, but we did it. Thank you,
you.
Rima. And I'll let you know. I'll send you the interview and I'll let you know when it's posted. And I thank you once again for this
Thank
opportunity. Okay,
thank you
take
for having.
care.
Wonderful. Take care. Thank you.
Okay, bye.